Flight 171. The Miracle and the Tragedy, Real Story of the Ahmedabad Crash. Welcome to the channel. But today, I wish I were not telling you this story. This is not a tale of adventure or inspiration. This is a story soaked in silence, in fire, in grief, and in one impossible miracle. A tragedy that shook not just a city, but the entire nation. This is the story of Air India Flight 171, the flight that took off from Ahmedabad and never came back. A normal day turns dark. June 12, 2025. It was a bright afternoon in Ahmedabad, India. People were going about their usual routines. At Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport, 242 passengers boarded Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner bound for London Gatwick. There were children, newlyweds, students, grandparents, and just everyday people chasing their dreams. The flight crew greeted them with smiles. Everything seemed normal. Nothing felt wrong. At 1:39 p.m. IST, the aircraft began to accelerate down the runway. It lifted smoothly into the sky. But just 32 seconds later, the entire world would change. A sudden disaster. As the aircraft climbed to only about 625 feet, a sudden mechanical failure struck. Something wasn't right. Pilots declared an emergency. Mayday! Mayday! Was the last word air traffic control heard from the cockpit. The engines roared irregularly. The aircraft began to lose altitude rapidly. Within seconds, it became clear. The plane would not make it back. At 1:40 p.m., in a matter of seconds, Flight 171 crashed straight into the doctor's hostel building of B.J. Medical College, located in Meghaninagar, a densely populated area. The sound of the explosion echoed for miles. Flames rose into the sky. Smoke choked the narrow city lanes. Sirens, screams, and chaos followed. Horror on the ground. On impact, the building burst into fire. Many doctors and medical students were inside, completely unaware of the tragedy that was about to strike them. Emergency teams rushed in, firefighters, NDRF units, police, and locals all joined hands. But what they saw was beyond comprehension. Bodies burned, debris everywhere, children crying, people stuck under concrete. All 241 people on board the aircraft had perished. But then, amidst the ashes, a miracle. The Miracle Man, Seat 11A. In the middle of the burning wreckage, a miracle emerged. A man, barely conscious, covered in soot, his face bleeding, but his breath alive. His name was Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, a 40-year-old British Indian businessman seated in 11A. He had survived the deadliest plane crash in India's history, by what can only be described as a divine intervention. Rescue workers pulled him out as he whispered the words, "Is this real?" He had no major internal injuries. No broken bones. Doctors would later say, it was as if God carried him out. The toll. The numbers were staggering. 242 on board. 230 passengers, 12 crew. Only one survivor. At least 28 people on the ground died due to the crash. Over 60 others were injured in the building. The victims came from all over the world. 169 Indians. 53 British nationals. 7 Portuguese. 1 Canadian. The country, and the world, was in shock. A nation mourns. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi offered condolences. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and King Charles III also expressed sorrow. Social media was flooded with tributes, stories, photos of the passengers, last messages they had sent, and the dreams they had carried. She was going to start a new job in London. They were on their honeymoon. He was visiting his daughter after 2 years. One after another, lives extinguished midair. The investigation. Investigators. From India, the UK, the US NTSB, and Boeing arrived immediately. The black box was recovered within hours. Preliminary data suggested a catastrophic mechanical failure during takeoff, possibly involving engine thrust imbalance or flight control malfunction. The pilots fought bravely but had barely 30 seconds before the aircraft nosedived. An exact answer will take months. But one thing is clear, the crew never had a chance to turn the plane around. Ironically, this wasn't the first time Ahmedabad witnessed such heartbreak. In 1988, Indian Airlines flight IC-113 had crashed during landing due to fog. 133 people had died then, the deadliest crash until 2025. Now, Flight 171 had taken that dark title. But one thing was different this time. One man had survived. The survivor's story. Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, the man in 11A, remained hospitalized but stable. He had no memory of the crash. Only a sharp jolt, a flash of fire, and then silence. When he was told about the crash, he wept. Why me? Why was I the only one to survive? Since his recovery, he has met many victim families. He now calls them his new extended family. He has pledged to dedicate his life to helping those affected by aviation tragedies. A sky that remembers. Today, at the crash site, a memorial is being built. For the 269 lives lost, for the dreams that never reached London, for the families left behind. Airplanes still fly over the city every day, but now, each flight carries with it a silent prayer. A reminder that even 32 seconds can change everything, and that sometimes, miracles are hidden in the ashes. Because Flight 171 wasn't just a crash, it was a moment that tore through hundreds of lives, and left one man behind to carry them all. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel for more real, powerful stories from around the world. This was the story of Flight 171. A tragedy, a miracle, and a lesson in how fragile life is.